Welcome into the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, video cast. We are going live Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and then Saturday college football action hitting every single game on the board. Part number one with Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com. Follow him on Twitter at midmajormatt. He's sportsmemo.com's most profitable college football handicapper. And for the past 3 seasons, you want to listen to what he has to say. Matt, welcome in. How you feeling?
Feeling good. I actually, for the first time this season, have a 5-unit play up, one that I feel really good about. It's a team total on DraftKings that's below a key number that I want. So you can find that on my page in sportsmemo.com. Only one of the season so far.
All right, man. Guys, check that out. You know, it's a rarity. And Matt, you hit your best bet on last week's show, I believe, and you're well over 500. I know that. So we'll get into it here, guys. At the top, we're doing a little bit different this week. Of course, we got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up. Some handicappers starting to travel for that, including myself. So we're breaking it up, trying to make it easier on each handicapper, talking about games that they're more familiar with. Of course, mid-major Matt, it's in his name. He knows the group of 5 as good as anybody out there. So we're giving him the weeknight games, which is mostly group of 5, and then at the end of the card. So he's really part number 1, but he's both part number 1 and part number 4 because he's going to hit the last slate, the last couple games of the Saturday college football card. We're going down in order, numerical order, that is. If you go to the Wager Talk live odds screen, those little numbers next to the team name, we are just making our way down, starting at the top here. Wednesday night, November 16th. That's tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time. 305, 306, the rotation numbers. Eastern Michigan at Kent State to kick us off here, Matt. -7.5. That's the Golden Flashes as the home favorite, 60 being the total in Kent, Ohio. Also, note here, Matt, I believe we're going sub 30 degrees with a little bit of wind. So weather's starting to become or at least projected, forecasted to be a little bit of the equation. What are you liking in Maction tonight to kick us off?
Yeah, so this is going to be relatively easy in terms of, for me, momentum is what we're looking for. Bowl eligibility is what we're looking for. So there's going to be some games on here where neither team's going for bowl eligibility, and we're not going to have much of an opinion because I don't want to try and guess certain things. When you look at this game, Eastern Michigan just got their bowl eligibility last week. They won their 6th game last week, so they're pretty happy, and they've got their rivalry game next week. I don't believe there's look ahead in action. Somebody wrote that up in their article. I don't believe necessarily in that. And then you got Kent State, who's coming off the win over Bowling Green. They're 2 wins away from bowl eligibility, and they have a really small chance at winning the MAC East title. So therefore, there's a lot of motivation on the side of Kent State. But Drew, you and I have done Eastern Michigan games, I feel like, for years. And what's the common theme for Eastern Michigan games? It feels like every one is a 1-score game for most of the contest. I didn't play it. I do have one play tonight that I'm obviously not going to give out here, but I have one play tonight. The one I came up closest to was Eastern Michigan plus 7.5. Just because it feels like every Eastern Michigan game is a 1-possession game. Eastern Michigan's defense isn't great. But the weather's a great equalizer. The wind is a great equalizer. I did also look at over 26.5 points for Eastern Michigan because everybody scores on Kent State. Ultimately, I didn't play either of them, but if I was, Eastern Michigan plus the 7.5 would be where I go.
Like it, Matt. Good start here. Guys, for tonight's slate, we got 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern kicks here. So kind of simultaneous, one right after the other, that is, in the trifecta of Maction for Wednesday night. Next one up, 307, 308, Western Michigan, Central Michigan. We are seeing the Chippewas -10 at home, 49.5 being the total in the second Maction game. Battle of directional Michigan schools here, Matt.
Yeah, this is another one, much like the first one, Drew, obviously, because a lot of these are being played somewhat in the same area. Cold and a chance of precipitation tonight. Central Michigan was left for dead, I feel like, a couple weeks ago. We talked about it when the Northern Illinois game. We thought that Northern Illinois was going to be sleepy in that game, and they certainly were. Now Central Michigan's 2 wins away from bowl eligibility, so they've got stuff to play for. They found Bert Emanuel Jr. last week, Drew. How about that? He ran for almost 300 yards, it felt like, in 2 plays. For Central Michigan. They get the win over Buffalo. They do have the motivation of going for bowl eligibility. And then you got Western Michigan, who lost that game to Northern Illinois. Western Michigan's defense is not bad. It's not great. Their offense isn't good. The one thing to look at here, and there hasn't been any indication yet on Twitter, Western Michigan's quarterback is at his threshold for the red shirting. So if you want to play a guy, you play him a couple games, and you could still red shirt him for the next year. Well, if he plays tonight, you can't red shirt him. So at one point, they were actually talking about not using him. If they go to the Salopek kid, I actually like the team total under for Western Michigan because their offense isn't as good with him. With the Borquet kid, he's pretty good. So I would wait for some news right beforehand to see who the starting quarterback is. I lean under here as well. Cold means less points. But certainly I'd like to know who Western Michigan's quarterback is before I make any sort of play.
Matt, so something I do is, and I was doing this last night, is I go back and I watch the replays. ESPN Plus, it's a good thing that Disney's doing, is being able to do that for handicapping guys, if you want to kind of put that in your back pocket. And some notes I took here, you brought up the Western Michigan quarterback. He's a freshman, Bourget. Is that how you pronounce it?
Bourget is probably right.
Yeah, Bourget. And something I took away, because this is something that I noticed from playing football and in college football. He's from Tucson, Arizona, and he's never played in like really cold weather. And we're getting 30 degrees here. And it was something that the offensive coordinator said, that they were worried about playing him in the cold weather. And then combine that with what you're talking about with the red shirt factor. Do you think that that's something that he actually won't play?
I mean, I certainly think they wouldn't say it because of the weather, but I think the redshirt thing's a real deal. The kid is not terrible. He's not great, but he has some things you can build on. So that's why I wouldn't burn his red shirt. There's no bowl eligibility for Western Michigan. Okay. And if Salopek plays, I don't think Western Michigan's going to do very much. Remember, Jefferson got suspended for a violation of team's rules. So now it's pretty much Sean Tyler's backfield. So that's why I'd like some more information as we get closer, Drew. And there's nothing on Twitter right now about that.
Next one up, 309-310, last action game for Wednesday night. 44.5 being the total. Miami of Ohio at Northern Illinois. We are seeing Northern Illinois either pick 'em or -1. So the slightest of favorites here. That's the Huskies at home, Matt.
20% chance of snow, it looks like tonight, snow showers, slight wind tonight as well. I do have a play in this game that is up on my page, but I'll say this. Miami, Ohio is 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. So they certainly have something to play for here. It's Northern Illinois' final home game. We don't know about Northern Illinois' top 2 running backs. That would be relatively important for them because they are their 2 best guys. They got by last week in the win over Western Michigan without them. They're also playing like 15 quarterbacks. Justin Lynch was in there, this Cremascoli guy. I don't really like necessarily the direction that Northern Illinois is in. So as I said, I have a play in this game. I would lean towards Miami, Ohio slightly here. Although, snow showers and wind doesn't really make me want to play anything. Plus, we don't know about Brett Gabbert. Here's the thing real quick, Drew. I read 2 previews on a very reputable website for this game, and neither of them mentioned that Brett Gabbert injured his ankle in the last play of the game, was seen in a boot this week, and they don't know his status. That would change the handicap greatly here, whether it's Avion Smith or Brett Gabbert. And so shame on this reputable website for putting up previews that don't even mention the star quarterback of Miami, Ohio being injured.
We can't say the reputable website's name.
I mean, if you want me to, I can. I enjoy going to them. They give good information. The Action Network. I love the Action Network. They give good previews. Their podcasts are very good. I am not ashamed to say I look at other people's work. But like the 2 people that wrote stuff up on this game didn't mention that Brett Gabbert got hurt. He's a huge part of it. Drew, I've watched Miami, Ohio a lot this year. Their offense is completely different with Avion Smith in there and Brett Gabbert. So it's a little disappointing that neither of them mentioned that massive injury and whether or not he's available or not.
All right, Matt. Well, good stuff, man. No, great breakdown on the Wednesday night games. We got Thursday night, November 17th up next, the Tulane Green Wave. A good one in the AAC, Matt. -3.5. That's Tulane at home. 65 the total. It's SMU at Tulane, Southern Methodist here. And something I'm noticing just schedule spot wise, of course, Tulane off of a tough loss against UCF in the AAC kind of regular season, almost championship game, I would call it. Now up against another good AAC team in SMU, but SMU's back-to-back road games. They went down to Tampa to play USF. Now they're at Tulane on a short week. I don't like that on the SMU side. I'll tell you that much, Matt. Are you liking anything Thursday night in the Big Easy?
I don't love anything in this game, Drew, because what's Tulane? Where's Tulane at? They put this, UCF game up in a large place. Now, obviously, look, they're in a 3-way tie atop the standings with UCF and Cincinnati. They play at Cincinnati next week. So that's going to be a relatively important game. Now, look, they can't afford to look ahead because guess what? SMU's one game behind the three-way tie in the standings. So they have a shot at kind of moving up in everything. So there's a lot of situations here, Drew. I lean to Tulane at home. SMU crushed them last year, 55-26. SMU's defense, I'm not really that fond of SMU's defense. Tulane's defense was exposed a little bit against UCF, although there was the bad call or the bad non-call and the offensive lineman down the field, ineligible lineman down the field in that game. I lean to Tulane here, Drew, but I don't love the situation for anybody really in this situation.
Yeah, no, a good game on Thursday night. I haven't bet it either, Matt. Do you see another Thursday night here, the FCS game, Southeastern Louisiana, Nicholls State? Matt, just if you have anything on that one, great. FCS-wise, have you been betting it all this year?
Not particularly. They've been very good about putting their lines out really late, and there's only a certain couple teams that I'm paying attention to. Used to be I paid attention to JMU and Richmond and William & Mary. Now JMU's FBS, so I haven't paid attention as much. Big one, though, Richmond and William & Mary. I haven't seen a line in that one yet, though.
We got Friday night lights here. 2 games, doubleheader. 9 o'clock Eastern, South Florida at Tulsa. Tulsa Hurricane near 2 touchdowns, -13 at most books. At home, 58.5 being the total. USF, Tulsa, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, Matt.
This one's an easy pass. No motivation on either side. The South Florida fired coaches bump never came for South Florida. They didn't cover last week. Tulsa's a team I can't trust as a double-digit favorite. They should win this game. They should win this game rather easily. But where's their head at? Neither team's got bowl eligibility. Easy pass here.
Matt, last one for Friday before we get to the Saturday card. San Diego State at New Mexico. So the Rocky Long Bowl here. We get the Aztecs -14.5-point road favorites, 37.5 being the total. Man, that is a low total here. Mountain West action in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I believe.
Yes. It's funny because when I did my notes, it was 39.5. I didn't look this morning, but yeah, 2 more points down. That's crazy. San Diego State has a small chance at the Mountain West title. They won their last game against San Jose State. I expect San Diego State to play well here. If there's somebody that would know them, would know this game very well, it would be Rocky Long. New Mexico's offense has been brutal, but their team totals like 11.5. I don't usually like taking those things because the fluke nature of something like that. You get a defensive touchdown, you get a blocked field goal for a touchdown, whatever, and then you're on your heels a little bit. So this one's a pass too. Sorry. I wish I could give something for Friday night, but these are 2 ugly games.
All good, Matt. We are we'll wait for one of these big winners, maybe this time around. And one of the bigger surprises in college football that nobody's talking about without surprise is 407-408 New Mexico State and Missouri. As guys, a reminder, we are skipping down to the bottom portion of the Saturday card. 407-408 down to the degenerate special UNLV Hawaii to end it. On the Saturday card, if you go to the Wager Talk live odds screen, those little numbers next to the team name going down in order now at the end on the Saturday card. New Mexico State, Missouri. Of course, it's always kind of tough handicap when New Mexico State goes up against an SEC team, which they seem to do a lot, Matt. 46.5 being the total, -29. That's Missouri at home. And I said more surprising teams because we're in week 11, I believe, Matt. It's hard to keep up here. Maybe week 12. And New Mexico State is actually bowl eligible at 4-8 or 4-5. It's still bowl eligible opportunity here at 4 wins and 5 losses. They're going to have to surprise some people, but I don't remember the last time the Aggies were in bowl season. Missouri, SEC at home. Are you liking anything in this one?
Yeah, they're also, if they're going to have to be there. And Drew, I forget, the conference, the win totals for before the season, you need to play all 12 games, right? Or 12 or 13 if there's 13 or 11 because JMU was 11. So
you do.
New Mexico State, if you took the over, you might be in trouble if they don't reschedule the San Jose State game because that was postponed due to the unfortunate passing of one of the players on San Jose State. New Mexico State's got Missouri and Liberty left, so obviously bowl eligibility is not going to happen here. This is the first time Missouri's participated in the non-conference SEC bye week that they have. If I was looking it up, all the past couple of years, they've played real opponents this week. So this is like their first time. They're 2 wins away from bowl eligibility too as well, Drew. I kind of like the over a little bit in this game, knowing full well, Drew, that Missouri may carry the total. New Mexico State's team total's 8.5. I don't know if they're going to go over that. If they can get 10, I have a lot of confidence that Missouri can get to 37 potentially. So I have a small lean to the over here, thinking Missouri is going to do most of the handiwork here when it comes to this game.
All right, Matt. We got a good slate of games right up Matt's alley for the next 5 or 6 here. UL Monroe versus Troy. Battle between Louisiana and the state of Alabama. 48 being the total. 3:30 kick in Troy, Alabama. We're seeing the Trojans minus 14.5 or minus 15 at home, Matt.
So I have a Troy ticket to win the Sun Belt. It's a nice little ticket. And right now they're tied with South Alabama for the West Division title. They hold the tiebreaker. Basically, if Troy takes care of business, which I think they should, they'll make the game. But they're coming off the tough game against Army, Drew. I'm always concerned somewhat about a team's health after you go through that triple option pounding for a bunch of plays. You're on the field a lot. It was a tight game, obviously. And Louisiana Monroe's offense isn't terrible. They win that game over Georgia State. Troy's defense is really good. But as I said, I'm modestly concerned about how they're going to feel coming off the Army game. Louisiana Monroe, 2 wins off of bowl eligibility here, so they have something to play for. Small lean to Louisiana Monroe over 16.5 points. And the reason why it's a small lean is because Troy's defense is really good. And the only reason I'd potentially play this sort of thing, and I've got to dig into it more, see if there's any injuries or anything, is that after you play Army, it's much like after you play an SEC team, the next week you feel it because you took a pounding and things like that. So small lean to Louisiana Monroe's team total over here, but I got to dig more into Troy's defense and if there's any injuries or things like that.
He's Matt Josephs. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Also, ESPN Richmond. He does a radio show there Monday through Friday. 83-50 so far this college football season. The most profitable handicapper at sportsmemo.com in college football. He's also the most profitable the last 3 seasons, all well above 500 in each of the last 3. So check him out, sportsmemo.com. His name's Matt Josephs, at Midmajor Matt on Twitter. And the radio show there, ESPN Richmond, Matt, 3 to 4 Eastern, is it?
Yep, coming up, ESPNRichmond.com, 1061 ESPN on your iHeartRadio app. We're previewing the VCU game tonight. We're also doing a little Richmond-William Mary preview tonight, and we've got some other stuff that is going to go on the rest of the week.
And are you coming to us from the studio there?
This is our side studio because we have more decorations. This is just a black wall, unfortunately. But yes, I'm coming from the area where we broadcast. This is our side studio.
And is it near where VCU, that basketball stadium, is?
VCU's downtown. We're about 20 minutes from downtown. So yeah, we're not too far away.
All right. Yeah, I've been there. My cousin got married in Richmond, and it's a nice town, pretty place. Good,
very nice town.
Yeah. Next game up, Maction, Akron and Buffalo, 3:30 Eastern on Saturday, 4:11, 4:12. We got 47.5 being the total, minus 14.5. That's the Buffalo Bulls at home hosting the Akron Zips. Maction on Saturday. That means we're getting to the end of weekday Maction here, Matt.
Oh boy. So I don't know if you've read all this stuff about the Bills game, about how they're supposed to have like 4 or 5 feet of snow in Buffalo. Well, it's supposed to start on Friday night and go all day Saturday. So this Buffalo game will be so majestic and beautiful, but it will be played in a driving snowstorm with big time winds. So it's all very concerning here, considering Akron, all they do is throw the ball. They can't run the ball very well. It's going to be one of those things where Akron is going to be a bit less of a team than Buffalo. Buffalo wants to run it. They got a couple of decent running backs. They've got a decent passing attack. Buffalo's got 1 win from bowl eligibility here too. They got a small chance at the MAC East title. Akron's team total right now is 16.5. It's going to go down once the weather forecast becomes more solid. I would potentially look at Akron's team total under here because this is a team that's going to be greatly affected by what the weather is supposed to be on Saturday.
Love it, Matt. Great stats there on the weather, guys. Watch it in Buffalo, 3:30 Eastern on Saturday. Next game up, Conference USA, Louisiana Tech in Charlotte. Ooh, this is a good one, Matt. -3, the Bulldogs as the road favorites, 64.5 being the total. I mean, this is a good one because neither of these teams are very good. What are you liking in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Yeah, there's no motivation on either side here. Now, the one thing that goes for Louisiana Tech is they got the new head coach. They want to play well for him. I need it for my Louisiana Tech team total over for the season. Charlotte plays no defense. I don't know what's left in the tank for them. They're home. I don't expect there to be anybody at this game. So this is a pass, Drew. I don't want to guess motivation. As I said, the only team I think would be motivated is Louisiana Tech to play for their new head coach, but there's literally nothing on the line. I don't even think there's like a fake trophy in this game. So no, pass on this one.
Yeah, I think Charlotte hired a new head coach as well. I didn't know the name, but
Biff. The guy's name, I think, is Biff Podgy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they hired a Biff. No offense to any Biffs that are watching.
FAU, MTSU up next. That's Florida Atlantic at Middle Tennessee. Also 3:30 Eastern, 4:15, 4:16. Just a couple games left here on the Saturday slate. Owls -6-point road favorites. 51.5 being the total. Owls at MTSU. Middle Tennessee here. What are you liking in Murfreesboro, Tennessee?
So both teams are one win away from bowl eligibility. One of my wins last week was the over in the Shula Bowl. FAU provided everything I needed for that over, so thank you to them. They're playing good football right now. Middle Tennessee, I don't know what to expect from Middle Tennessee here, Drew. Middle Tennessee obviously is known for the win at Miami, but other than that, I don't know what the heck they've done the rest of the season. Like, this is a team I haven't bet on very much. A small lean to FAU, but I don't like playing road dogs here per se, because, what's the motivation? Like, it's going to be a sleepy atmosphere. Is Middle Tennessee going to get up for this game? As I said, there is bowl eligibility on the line for both teams, but once again, this is a tough game to handicap here, Drew. I don't know. Obviously you're in the Florida area. I don't know how much you know about FAU football, but I don't know necessarily what the motivation is here.
I actually know a pretty good amount. I went to 2 games this year, and FAU's pretty good. They're pretty good at they got some big boys on the sideline. Something that I noticed there. Always kind of the bigger, the better looking team getting off the bus, if you will. But at the same time, you brought up something there, laying points on the road with a team, primarily made up of Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach County recruits, meaning South Florida. I was actually going to check the weather in Murfreesboro. If it's cold, I want nothing to do with lane 6 with FAU. But I do think that they're the better team from watching these two. We got next one up. You bring up Shula Bowl, 4:17, 4:18. FIU versus UTEP. FIU's not very good at all. 51 being the total, -14. Not that UTEP is all that great, but they're also not built to cover numbers. So this is a very difficult handicap in El Paso.
Yeah, both teams, 2 wins from bowl eligibility. I don't think either of them are going to get there. I would love to take UTEP's team total over here. FIU's defense is terrible. Like, let's be honest. The whole team's terrible. Grayson James was horrific in the Shula Bowl. But I don't trust UTEP's offense, as you just said. I don't trust them to cover numbers, but then I don't also want to know what FIU's going to do. There's about 15-mile-an-hour winds potentially in this game, so that's going to reduce passing potentially in one direction. Maybe an under here, Drew, but you're asking an FIU defense who's not very good to make stops. I think UTEP can make stops, but I don't know if necessarily FIU is going to make them.
I agree with you. I think this is a good underplay as well. We got Arkansas State, Texas State up next. So battle of states here in Arkansas and Texas. 51 being the total, -6. That's the Bobcats in San Marcos, Texas.
So this one's another one of those lack of motivation games. Neither team's going for bowl eligibility. Arkansas State's been a disappointment. They nearly lost to UMass. They gave up 33 points to UMass. Like, that's bad. Texas State lost at South Alabama last week. And I know some people are going to get frustrated because of the passes here, Drew, but like this card, I feel like, Drew, this card has a lot of potential if you hone in on just the right games. Like, people might want to bet this game. I'm saying not. Like, don't bet on 2 teams who have nothing to play for unless you think that there's an edge on the over, unless you think there's an edge on the total. I'm not trying to guess what teams who have no bowl eligibility ahead are thinking entering this game. So I'm going to pass here only because I think that there's a lot more games here, Drew, where there is opportunities to hammer away on a certain side or spread or something.
Sure. I mean, Matt, you bring up a good point, and I guess I would just kind of push back on your last point there. This is the week before, rivalry weekend. Like you brought up the SEC teams and what they do scheduling wise. Tell you the truth, other conferences do it as well. It's just kind of not as glamorized. The Pac-12 doesn't do it as much, but there's not a whole lot of like really competitive games with a lot to play for this weekend because most of those games are next weekend. I don't know if you've noticed that, but something I've done in like kind of my handicapping is I normally sit on my couch, watch 3 games, take notes on Saturdays, and my social life goes down the drain on the weekends. But this weekend, I'm going to actually try to go to a game and because I don't think you're actually missing all that much. I don't know. Do you have anything to that?
I agree. I think that some of these teams in these smaller conferences, yes, you're right. There's big rivalry games, and that's where a lot of their attention, especially if they're not bowl eligible. We talked about, some of the MAC games with the rivalries next week. There's going to be MAC teams who are not eligible for bowls who get up for this last game. The circumstances surrounding Tech and UVA, if they actually play that game. With regards to that, it'll be fascinating to see with these rivalry games with teams that have no interest in anything else getting up for that one last game of their regular season.
Next one up, Marshall, Georgia Southern, 55 the total. Thundering Herd -4.5 in Statesboro, Georgia.
So Georgia Southern's been a fun little story here. Georgia Southern, with what Clay Helton's done so far this season, they've been a really fun story because, that's a team that was a triple option bunch, and now they throw it all over the yard. And it's just, to see a transformation like that, it's pretty crazy to see. Marshall's already bowl eligible. Marshall's had a very interesting stretch. They go to JMU, they win. They host Coastal Carolina and lose. They go to Old Dominion and win. Then they host App State and they win. Now they're going to Georgia Southern, and then they've got Georgia State at home in that last game. I kind of have a small lean towards Georgia Southern here. I like that passing attack, although Marshall's secondary is filled with absolute future pros here. If you look at what they've got the Gilmore kid, who is absolutely incredible. And I'm looking here. There's no win, so that's not going to affect things with Georgia Southern. This could be a live betting game, Drew. I'd like to see, if Georgia Southern comes out with some fire to start the game, they're 1 win from bowl eligibility. If they could start moving the ball a little bit in this game, even if Marshall scores, I'll look at Georgia Southern live in this one.
Like it, Matt. 423, 424. Boise State, Wyoming. We are seeing the Broncos -14 on the road, 44 the total in Laramie, Wyoming.
Very cold, a little bit of wind in this one. And this is essentially to determine the Mountain Division title champion. If Boise, whoever wins this game is going to be the Mountain Division title champion. But it should tell you something, Drew. There's a 2-touchdown spread here. Yeah. Boise State has been so much better with Taylon Green out there. I was on the Boise State team total over last week against Nevada. It hit in the third quarter. They really have this confidence with Taylon Green there. Remember, that game was in the cold. That game was in the snow. So they're not going to care that much about this Wyoming game. And I just, I've never been a big Wyoming guy, Drew, but they're just doing what they can to win. It was a relatively unimpressive win at Colorado State, but of course, they probably were looking ahead to this one. I don't lay double digits on the road, certainly, but I don't feel confident enough in Wyoming to do it for me. The one note that makes me also scared in this game, Drew, twice, Boise State's defense has been in great situations for me. I think it was the Utah State game and the BYU game. Twice I took their opponent's team total under, and twice that defense screwed me. So I actually hope Boise State loses this game. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? I haven't had a great feel on this Boise State team this season.
Yeah, I get what it's tough to forgive some of these college football teams for sure. We got a late night slate to end it here. 2 games left, 425, 426, Fresno State at Nevada, 54 being the total. Fresno State -22.5 point road favorites. Are you liking anything in Reno, Nevada?
Well, I mean, obviously I hope Nevada loses. I have the team total, the win total under. Because I'm on pace as long as they don't win both games left. And of course, this is the perfect situation, Drew, right here. Who's Nevada's next game against? UNLV.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's UNLV. So while it's their final home game of the season, if you ask the Nevada fans, the coaching staff, the players, who would they rather win? It would be the next game against UNLV. Fresno State's been really good. Whether Jake Haener was in there or not, Fresno State's been really good. I don't trust their defense enough to lay this much on the road, even against a pathetic Nevada team. But remember, a win here pretty much clinches the West Division title for Fresno. They need some other things to happen for that not to happen, but a win. Fresno's going to win this game. It's going to be a name your score situation. I might go back to the Fresno State team total over here only because I've enjoyed playing team total overs against Reno, as you would refer, as you UNLV people would refer to it. I know you're not a UNLV person, but you're a Vegas person. I might just go back to the well here and take the team total over against Nevada.
Okay, like it, Matt. 1 game left here, guys. Nevada has the Fremont Cannon game on deck against UNLV. And we do have a trophy game here, Matt, to end it. The last game on the card, guys, 427, 428. We're heading out to the island. Degenerate special, get back game, whatever you want to call it, 11 p.m. Eastern kick here. UNLV at Hawaii, the Island Showdown Trophy. We got UNLV, the Rebels, minus 11-point road favorites, 55.5 being the total. A lot of people say Las Vegas is the ninth island there, talking about one thing I learned from living there. A lot of Hawaiians in Las Vegas, and a little bit of a rivalry here, Matt, to end it. UNLV at Hawaii.
UNLV's 2 wins from bowl eligibility, but they've got their big rivalry game next week. UNLV probably is going to win this game, but you're looking at November. Now, obviously, it's not Thanksgiving week, so you're not staying out there and having Thanksgiving in Hawaii, but it's late November, Drew, and they're going to Hawaii. I kind of want to play the Bows here, even though the Islands are no longer this, great home field advantage, and it's no longer like they're a great underdog at home because they're a terrible football team. But my lean is to Hawaii here, Drew, with the big rivalry game next week. UNLV knows they're going to win this game. Do they have to win it by margin? I don't know. So my lean here would be to Hawaii in this one.
All right. Lean in Hawaii in the late night special. Guys, check him out. Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. We'll get a most confident play from him. He's 83-50 on the season. He was 130-98 last year and 98-59 in 2020. Most profitable handicapper in college football at sportsmemo.com. Also the past 3 seasons, most profitable. Check him out. Matt, any closing thoughts here for the show? And can you leave us with a most confident play of the games we talked?
Yeah, don't forget to go to my page. First 5-unit play of the season. I don't go to the well. I don't do that stuff often. I'm not one of those guys who's trying to, go nuts on something like that. And it's still at a number I really like. I'm looking at it now. It actually went down a little bit. It doesn't scare me very much, but I like this team total over. You can find it on DraftKings. And my first 5-unit play of the season in college football. We'll give it a shot. See what happens. Most confident play here, Drew. I'm going under 16.5 points for Akron. They're a team that wants to throw it. They're not going to be able to throw it in Buffalo. The wind, the snow, it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Akron just wants to go home. Buffalo's not going to look great either, and I might take their team total under 2. But for the official play here, Akron under 16.5 points. Normally, I'd like to wait and see if the 17.5 shows up, but I think it's more likely to go to the 15.5 instead. So Akron under 16.5 points in a torrential snowstorm in Buffalo on Saturday.
He's Matt Josephs. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Also, always a great job on the Every Game on the Board podcast. Guys, we will have him back next week. Best of luck with your bets. Cash those tickets, that is. Thanks, Matt. And we'll be back with Teddy Covers here shortly.